All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our 2025 Purdue University Intramural Officials Hall of Fame ceremony. We've got three great inductees today to celebrate and listen to this afternoon. Thank you to everyone who could be here today. I know the Thursday date is a little bit of a change from the past years, and thank you to everyone who could join virtually as well. For those of you who are watching later, and for all of us in the room, let's have a little bit of courtesy for the microphone. We don't want to be disrupting those who need to watch either right now live or later in review. So my name is Peyton Alley. I'm one of the assistant directors of sport programs here, and I've had the pleasure of learning from this program since June of 2022. They did finally give me the keys to talk at this event, so I'm excited to finally be up here. There's been a little over a year since we last met, and we've been making a ton of strides of continuing the greatness of this program. All of our inductees this year have had indirect involvement with the PUIOA and the intramural sports program, and one of them has been hands-on for just about 10 years. For those of you who have been away as well, we'd like to share some updates of what we've been doing. First, we've had some staffing changes. Keith Willems, who's thankfully here today, has recently moved on to his next giant leap on the West Coast. You can chat with him about that, as I know many of you already have already. And in his place, we've hired two fantastic new assistant directors. In the back, Courtney Smith on the left, who's an Indiana transplant like me, and Brianna Bowles. You're on my left. Brianna Bowles, who's a graduate from our program. On the student staff side, we've continued growing and now have 10 head supervisors, 51 supervisors, and 150 officials supporting our sports. These staff have helped us to manage our programs this year that are currently outpacing campus growth by about 3%. We continue to max out our leagues and tournaments, as well as our space, and we're always looking for ways to support departmental and university expansion plans. Outside of staff, we've continued to leverage technology in our program. Last year, we implemented our new VIO cameras, which we've named after our past interns, Ruthie and Kaylin, which have assisted in our officials' development, but most importantly, the participant experience of being able to watch your games afterwards with your friends and family. This fall, we've added a third camera and the ability to live stream from these cameras. Our third camera, we voted and named TJ after one of our longest tenured video staff members who graduated from the program in 2024. We consistently hear from our participants how much they appreciate the access to their film, and we see on our YouTube channel we're averaging just about 1,000 views a month. In the last 3 weeks, we've also added more tech to our program. We started a mic'd up program in collaboration with Elements Athletics, which utilizes software to identify instances of referee abuse, which has had some pretty fun success in getting to listen to the things our participants say to our officials. Lastly, we're starting to implement a partnership with RefReps with the PUIOA, which allows them free access to take online courses in NFHS rules and mechanics in about 15 different sports. So that's enough of me talking. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome and introduce our PUIOA president, Paul Amato, to introduce our first inductee.
Hello, everyone. As Peyton said, my name is Paul Amato, and I'm the president of PUIOA this year. So we're going to get started with our first inductee. So Mason Pottschmidt began at Purdue Intramurals as a basketball official back in 2017 before he found his true calling as a soccer official. During his time at Purdue, Mason was a head official for soccer and earned several championship assignments across all offered versions of our sport, including our outdoor 9v9 soccer, Trek soccer, and of course our beloved Miss Max soccer. As an official outside of Purdue, Mason has had a very successful and growing officiating career. He is currently a local high school and collegiate soccer official, as well as a regional referee through USSF, which that alone places him in the top 2% of soccer referees nationwide. Mason is also a member of the Indiana Elite Referee Academy, which also places him as one of the top referees in the state. And for those of you that are unaware of what these levels bring, Mason is essentially certified up to the pre-professional level, which includes leagues like USL2, USLW, NPSL, and UPSL, which are all semi-pro pre-professional leagues across the country. And he is currently working towards obtaining his national referee license, which would qualify him as a professional referee. Now, as someone who has worked with Mason at the college club level specifically, and I've also seen him out at some youth games, I can confidently say that you'd be very hard-pressed to find someone who cares about every single game more than Mason. One of the college club games I had with him, it was my freshman year with me and my brother and Mason. He wasn't even supposed to work that game, and we needed an extra official. And 15 minutes before the game started, my brother gave Mason a call, and by game time, or maybe a couple minutes after, he was ready to work, already on the sideline with his flag. Mason continues to represent Indiana in the PUIOA at multiple regional and national events across the country, and he's always bringing a high level of quality and attention to detail to every match he works. Out in the community as well, anytime I've seen Mason on a game or spoken to any other officials about anyone, including Mason, I've really only ever heard good things about Mason, his work ethic, preparation, and just his attitude in general towards every game. It really is so rare to have an official be so well known and so well respected by their peers, and only hearing good things about an official is not something that you will see often. But with Mason, it is very obvious why he's so respected, and he is sure to do great things in the coming years. So with that, please join me in welcoming Mason Pottschmidt into the PUIOA Hall of Fame.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you for being here, for supporting Purdue Intramurals. It's a program that meant a lot to me when I was here. And then I want to congratulate the other two inductees. Congrats on being here. I know you guys have made great contributions to the program. I personally am very proud to be honored by this induction. It just means a lot to me. A little bit of background about my reffing career. So I started reffing, took the class when I was about 13 years old. At that time, I was just doing games for little recreational games, getting paid like $20 a match. And from there, I was just making mistakes little by little, getting better. And then I was also still playing youth sports at the time. Continued to ref and play in combination through high school. But I fell in love with reffing. I got that bug and just wanted to keep pressing in the reffing as a reffing career. And I could tell I was improving in all these games that I was doing in high school. When I got to Purdue, staying with reffing was like top of mind for me. I was excited to keep reffing travel games, and then once I was exposed to intramurals, I knew I definitely wanted to do that. But when I got here to Purdue, there wasn't just intramurals here. There was so many other opportunities and things going on that I got a little too overwhelmed at first, and I missed the call out for soccer officials. So I had to wait an entire year to get on the staff. But I waited until the winter, and I tried my hand at basketball officiating. And I learned that I wasn't as good as that. It definitely did not come as natural to me. But I tried, and really my objective with that was just to sort of broaden my horizons a little bit, try and see reffing from a new perspective, and try and make myself a better soccer referee, even though the calls are so much different. I learned that basketball is a lot more black and white, and you're really close to the players all the time. Did not like that at all. I liked more freedom, running on the field, and having more subjectivity with the foul selection and stuff like that. So that's what came natural to me on the soccer field. So yeah, and I had done some basketball officiating before, but had no formal training. So when I got here to Intramurals and was led by some great basketball staff, I was just super impressed with the professionalism that they had, and to teach us going from nothing at all to some formal training, and then pretty much straight into games too. So they basically did everything I did to make me ready for the games, but just something that didn't quite work out. So I was really excited when I could finally try my hand at in the following fall at soccer. And then I was also, I was that first year, I did get to play soccer for intramural. So I was able to experience the environment, and my team was never any good. And throughout my whole career, I really don't ever remember winning a single game. For my team, it was always, can we get 8 people to play 9v9 or something like that? Like it was pretty bad, but we had fun nonetheless. And so I got to know some of the officials that I was working with. And again, going to that fall, I could tell that I knew from my skill set that I had something to bring to the table to Purdue Intramurals, and that I would be a benefit to the program. So I was excited to get that started. So yeah, once I did start that, it was Alex Fearing who was doing the training for soccer, and again was very impressive professionalism, taking us through all the works of, even if you've never been exposed to soccer before, this is what they expect of you, and getting some practice games. It was just a great experience, and really a big part of the onboarding orientation is getting equipment. I mean, soccer doesn't have a lot of equipment, but some people just don't have anything. So providing that was important. Luckily, I had a decent amount of my stuff, so I felt more comfortable going into those first set of games. Once we got those games started, I really love the aspect that Intramurals implemented of having supervisors at on every field. And there's different reasons that they have that, but what I took away from was all of the feedback that the supervisors would give us, basically after each half. And so that was really good to see an outside perspective to try and learn, because there was things that, you can have a different angle on a play, and the supervisors are fairly knowledgeable. They've been through the rules test before, so they know what's going on, and just to have another eyes on you, it really helps out. Over time, at first I was getting like some positive, negative feedback, both, and it was all constructive and built a lot. As I went on and started building a reputation as a quality soccer official, I really started noticing that there's a lot of positive feedback and rarely any negative. And some supervisors even told me they were a bit scared to give me any negative feedback, because they just knew that I knew a lot more rules knowledge than they did, and was very very confident in my decisions and things like that. So yeah, and also that feedback aspect isn't something I really had when I first got my license. I'm from a small town of Seymour, Indiana, and there weren't a whole lot of adult referees in that area. I mean, when I was a junior in high school, I kind of was the oldest referee in that town that has a decent youth soccer program, so I was doing a lot of those games, and with my friends who were my age or younger, and didn't have a lot of leadership or people to talk to about games or situations. So being here at Intramurals, that was an aspect that I really loved. Then the aspect of being able to watch film here was very instrumental to my success. And it can be a very humbling experience to see yourself on film for the first time. The way you run, you may think looks funny, or just the way you look sometimes. But I mean, there were several times where I thought that I had called it right, live, but you watch the film back and you may have not gotten it right. And maybe even no one on the field noticed, but at least I could make myself better for the next time if that situation would have arose. And so just with the film and the supervisors, my rules knowledge of soccer, my game management, my confidence grew immensely, and was a very good foundation to build on for the rest of my reffing career. That the first outdoor season that I did, I remember it being very cold, and on the day of a final that I did, I was at AR, so I was very glad to be selected for that. And I think I did a final in each outdoor trek and MAC every season that I reffed, and I still I kept all the gold whistles, and they're all in the same packaging still. So I sort of have an intention to pass those out at some point in time to different referees that I can try and have an impression on. Those experiences were very rewarding, and really just a reflection of the effort that I put in to improve there. And they tie into what I love most about reffing. Reffing can be very demanding. Soccer is chaotic out there. There can be a lot of emotions, and really a referee is in charge of managing those emotions and seeing that the game is played fairly. And the energy of the match can kind of really raise the temperature and really test the referee to do that. So I really like how you have to stay immediately focused on what the next play is. You can't ruminate too much on a previous decision. You can't reflect while the ball is still in play on something that you may have missed, may not have missed. You can't think about what's for dinner that night. You got to stay focused on right what's then and there. You have to be very present. And I think that in my experience of games, I've really refined that aspect, and it's something that I'm like uniquely skilled at, and has enabled me in other stressful situations off the field just remain calm, be laid back, and kind of see the bigger picture of some things, and be able to make more accurate and responsible decisions. So a good thing about working here was the flexibility. We had the early and the late shift, and I personally loved the late shift because I could, go to class, get my schoolwork done, eat dinner, and then come here. So yeah, love the late shift. Working under the lights was a great feeling here. Really nothing quite like it, even when I do games in a similar situation. It's something about those fields out there and other games going on at the same time. And you're out there with your friends all your age. It's very special. I sometimes joke with some older officials that I work with, because a lot of soccer officials, especially at the high school level, are fairly old. And when I tell them that we had 11 p.m. kickoffs, they can't believe us at all. So, yeah, but I love that aspect of it. So yeah, after about 2 years, I really established myself. I was pretty much begged to be a supervisor, beg, and really didn't want to do it. I had some things that I was interested in doing outside of intramurals on the engineering side, and wanted to stay focused there. But I was offered the role of head official to be able to mentor some of them, and that's something that I took up right away. So I really wanted to do that, to give back to the young officials, and just help them learn, as I had a good experience from when I was younger and had really good head officials. So that was very important to me, and I took that very seriously. I was definitely known when I was here to like pick out which days would be best to go see, the people that I'm responsible for go seeing, and make sure that someone was watching their game and they were getting really good feedback. And I know that was noticed, and I appreciate that. So yeah, while I was here at Purdue, I studied mechanical engineering, and I had minors in manufacturing and communications. I was in a few engineering clubs, held a leadership position in my fraternity, and so I stayed very busy here, but I really wouldn't change anything that I've done here at Purdue. I had a really great experience. Beyond campus, I continued officiating youth and travel while I was here, and Purdue, or PUIOA, helped bridge that gap. They helped me get a foot in with doing middle school games, and that led into high school, which has now led into college games. So I'm very blessed that PUIOA was able to make some of those connections for me, and really help out my career. I would also, while I was up here, go down to Grand Park in Westfield. It's very convenient, and also hosted a lot of important youth tournaments. So having that was a great resource for me, and that gave me the opportunity to be seen a little bit and get other opportunities in adult games and the like. So after about 4 years now, I'm still reffing, working for pre-professional matches, and traveling to national youth events like Generation Adidas, MLS Next Playoffs, and the ECNL Playoffs. I've met incredible officials and referee coaches from around the country. Referee coaches are great for helping mold me into a professional referee. They ask you where you want to go, and just give you some honest and open feedback about your game and how you can get there. So that's been very instrumental for me. I continue to work high school games, and start to do more and more college. I get to be I've been assigned in the center for a couple of Division II games in NCAA this year, and then I'm an assistant referee on some really big Division I games this year. So it's been very exciting, working with a lot of good, experienced veteran referees, and continuing to learn. Purdue Intramurals was really the first step toward that path, and like I said, I'm forever indebted to that. I'm very, very blessed to be a part of this program. The mentorship, feedback, and opportunities I received here really shaped that, and not just my officiating career, but off the field, my confidence, communication, and leadership. And for that, I'll always be grateful. I wanted to thank my parents for being here tonight. They've been very supportive of me. A lot of these youth events are on the weekends, so we're constantly trying to balance, family time versus doing these games that I feel being so young is very, very important to me. I feel like I want to do it now, but we've worked together and got, and been in this journey together. Thank you to everyone who supports Purdue Intramurals. There's a lot of officials that your hands are touching, so just be aware of that, and we are all very thankful. The staff who work very hard to make it all possible. Purdue PUIOA again really introduced me to the community of middle school and high school officiating, and I was really able to take it up from there. So I'm just blessed to be a part of this. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Asato. I am the Vice President of the PUIOA, and I'm also an intramural supervisor here. I have the pleasure today. I had the pleasure of meeting Daniel through my officiating with the PUIOA while working high school games at Twin Lakes, and where he is currently the athletic director. In 2011, Daniel was one of the first employees to begin as an intramural sports supervisor while not having previously officiated any intramural sports before he applied. He quickly worked his way up to becoming an intramural sports head supervisor in his time with Purdue sports programs, where he focused on building relationships with the patrons, officials, and other supervisors. In September of 2013, Daniel earned the Department of Recreational Sports Employee of the Month award, and since graduating, Dan has continued to make a tremendous impact. He began a career in education at Twin Lakes High School, and then where he previously taught math classes and coached basketball and golf. For 3 years, Dan was the Dean of Students at Twin Lakes and has since become the Athletic Director, where he has excelled in making an impact on others, such as students, parents, and coaches. Of course, he also keeps his strong connection to the officials and has made strong effort to allow our POIOA officials to get experience at his events. The first time we met, I was officiating unified flag football at Twin Lakes High School. This was my first intramural game. I was pretty nervous. Peyton sent me there, but it was really comforting to meet Dan. I told him that I worked here at Purdue, and he shared his experience with me and his time in this program. I was very proud as a current student to hear about the time that he had spent in this program and to see the long-term impact of my own journey here and what that could look like. It's been great to be able to connect with him several times and hear about his time in this program. And it's also great to see where he is now and all the work that he's doing and continues to do for Twin Lakes High School and the surrounding community. It is my pleasure to welcome Daniel Seiltz to the PUIOA Hall of Fame.
All right, first off, what Matthew doesn't tell you about that story is we had if you don't know what unified flag football is, it's you have students with disabilities and students without disabilities. And one of our students with disabilities was 22, 23 years old. So I made a joke to the officials, you could go have a beer with my quarterback after the game. And Matthew goes, I'm not 21. So that's what I remember about that story. First and foremost, I want to thank the Purdue University Intramural Official Association for this incredible honor. To be included in the Hall of Fame is something I never would have imagined starting out in IM sports. It's truly humbling to be recognized alongside so many people who've given so much to this great organization in this university, including everyone from current NBA referees to NFL Super Bowl officials. I want to take a moment to thank two people who had a profound impact on my journey here, Tyler Ford and Stacy Lee. Tyler and Stacy are more than just bosses.
You are my mentors, my sounding boards, and many times my toughest critic. You put me in more uncomfortable situations than I can count, and I mean that in the best way possible. IM Sports threw me into challenges where I had to think on my feet, make decisions under pressure, and yes, fail, and fail often. But through those failures, I learned resilience, I learned how to lead, how to adapt, and ultimately grew into a better version of myself. The lessons that I was taught extend beyond the gym or playing fields. They're lessons I carry with me every day. To everyone who is and does support this intramural community, the officials, supervisors, and staff, thank you for the laughs, the long nights, the 11 p.m. kickoffs, and the shared love of the game. Being a part of intramural sports taught me teamwork, leadership, and what community really mean, and it's something that I use every day. The program shaped me in ways that will stay with me for life, and I'll always be proud to have a small part of something that continues to be so special. Once again, thank you for the PUIOA and this tremendous honor. Boiler up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Richardson, and I am also one of the supervisors here, and I am the treasurer of the PUIOA. So I have the honor to introduce our very own Jason Maynard tonight. I, like most of you here today, have gotten the pleasure to get to know Jason really well over our time here in Intramurals. Whether it's talking basketball or going over film in the early spring semester, or getting a really hard shoulder into the chest during the handball FNL, Jason has always had an amazing way of being both a great leader and someone you can trust to bring up the overall morale in any situation he's involved in. Jason worked from 2016 to 2020 as an undergrad here and started out as a basketball official during the spring of his freshman year, picking up softball, team handball, and flag football as well. He also earned head official positions and championship assignments in each sport that he officiated. And he also got to represent Purdue in several NERSA events, including being selected as an official for NERSA Basketball Nationals in 2018. Graduating in 2020 meant that the spring of senior year for Jason was right at the beginning of COVID. In that spring, now as an intramural sports head supervisor, Jason adapted to the completely virtual environment and worked to help establish a strong esports presence in Purdue intramurals, which he continues today, assisting with the opening of the Alienware Purdue Gaming Lounge. After graduating, Jason rose from head supervisor to professional intern, next to assistant director, then to senior assistant director, and he recently accepted a promotion to the assistant director of sports programs. Associate director of sports programs. In his time since graduating, Jason has mentored and inspired countless officials, providing feedback, watching film, and setting a great example for officials who strive to reach the next level. With his immense knowledge on all things sports and rec related, it is very easy to understand why he's truly the perfect person to be the head of this program, and honestly had me wondering how it took him this long to be inducted into our own Hall of Fame. But finally, that time has come for someone more deserving than some of us could ever dream to be. So let's all welcome Jason Maynard in the Purdue University Intramural Officials Association Hall of Fame.
So I've been behind this podium probably well over 100 times, and I've been on that side of the podium for this event probably 5 or 6, and I didn't think I'd be able to ever do anything significant enough to be on this side for this event. If you ask my wife Kristen, I think about this place and about this program probably more often than I should, probably something like 12 hours a day. I'll tell you, when Paul called me in August and told me I made it, sobbed in my office for like 10 minutes because I spend so much time here, and it meant a lot to me. I think the most valuable resource that we have in the world is time, and where, how, and what you spend your time on is some of the most important decisions that you're going to make in your life. And To give perspective for you, I want to show you how much time I've spent here. You know me, I like statistics, and I ran some math earlier today. This is an estimation, but I think it's pretty accurate. I arrived on campus in fall of 2016, and I graduated in spring of 2020. The first fall, I spent about 4 days a week here at the co-rec playing basketball. And then I started working in spring of 2017. You can rely on that I worked about 4 shifts a week every week for the entirety of my undergrad, except in late spring. It's too cold. If you're a supervisor, you work in intramural sports in late spring, we tail off a little bit. I worked about 2 shifts a week in the late spring. I didn't want to stay in the softball for that long. You don't move a whole lot. So including all my time worked here and the time I spent at the co-rec, I calculated that I spent about 2,700 hours in my undergrad, whether working here or somehow at the co-rec. That's about 12% of all the hours that I was awake between 2016 and July of 2020. Then if you throw in the amount of time I've spent here as a professional, that increases my hour total since 2016 to 11,000. And that is 21% of all hours I've been awake since August of 2016. So if you grab 5 hours out of the bag, one of them I would have been probably here at the correct since 2016. I share these stats not to gloat or try to sell you on hard work, but to paint the illustration that I've spent over 20% of my most valuable resource here. I think that's really important. One of my top strengths is learner, and I consider myself a molded piece of clay with different artists from my life. I've tried to take the best pieces of influential people and emulate them. And when I was thinking about a theme for this speech, my mind was instantly drawn to points of emphasis. And if you're a referee, you know what points of emphasis are. We talk about points of emphasis all the time. And for those that don't know, points of emphasis are the topics or things that referees receive that are, for this season, points of emphasis. And you better know your points of emphasis. If you don't know your points of emphasis, you will not progress very far as a referee. They're an everlasting part of my life, and what better way to pay homage to the people that have molded me and bottle the messages in the forms of POEs. I think this message is for everyone, but I hope that some of you and that all of you can take away something from at least one of these POEs. The true audience of this message is for the officials, supervisors, head supervisors that are here, or people watching and that might watch it in the future. But these POEs may be a couple words, quotes, or phrases, but each POE is something from an individual in my life that has been really, really impactful, because I think that what I do best is I take some of the most impactful pieces of information from mentors in my life and try to emulate different pieces as much as I can. So I have 12 POEs. That's about the standard number of POEs for a season for intramural referees as we work through the weeks. So I have 12 different people and 12 different POEs. So first, some people know Mary Puckett. So from Mary Puckett, the quote is, "I'll handle that." Everyone wants to have the idea. Everyone wants to meet with the people or envision themselves leading a group or speaking in front of a group or rallying a group. Mary Puckett is a doer. Doers get shit done, period. Mary had plenty of great ideas, and I'm sure met with a lot of you in here, and she's a very successful leader in her own right. 2021, 2022 was a really difficult year. For those that don't know, Carly was here for about the first 2 months. Well, I was the sole assistant director trying to revive an intramural program from dormancy during COVID. I only had 20 returning supervisors, and we had to hire about 25 new ones, and I had a few returning head supervisors. And at the front of that pack was Mary Puckett, constantly saying, "I'll handle that." And ideas are great, but every great team needs somebody that's willing to do the work, because everyone can have ideas. We can all have ideas, good or bad. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to do the work. And learn from Mary, do the work. From Stacy Lee, do not expect any output without input. Sure, you're in one of the best sport programs in the country. That doesn't mean anything if you're not willing to give input. Your results, issues, successes, and celebrations are a direct reflection of how much input you gave. If you don't give something enough attention and you're wondering why there are missing pieces, maybe do some reflection. Because if you're not willing to give any input, you're not going to get anything out of it. I never got to work for Tyler or Stacy, but occasionally I'll get to message with them, or I see Stacy more frequently than I do Tyler. But from Tyler, this ain't no hobby. He says that pretty frequently. As you can see by some of the statistics I shared earlier, this is not a hobby for me. There are people that you work with here and that are current students. This is not one of their hobbies either. And if this is a hobby for you, that's great. But for them, it's not a hobby. Some people dedicate their lives, professions, activities, dedicate their lives to professions, activities, or causes that other people consider hobbies. Just because this is a hobby for you doesn't mean it's the same for everybody else. So treat it with respect. From Carly Van Overberg, do your job. This is designed, if you look in the shed, that's her quote on the shed too. So if you go check it out, it's on the shed. She says that pretty frequently. This program is designed as a machine that functions with multiple parts if you just do your job. It's been functioning that way for 15 years, and it will continue to function that way until the machine stops working. But as long as we do our job, it will go on endlessly. So if we all take care of our job, it will keep going. From Rachel Wood, if you're going to be a referee, then be a referee. If you're going to make a conscious decision to be here, then be here. Put some pride into your quality of work. It has your name on it. And these people will serve as references for you. And I promise all of you, I don't lie on reference calls. So if you're going to be a referee, then be a referee. From Peyton Alley, a fresh perspective goes a long way. As an outsider with a different way of viewing sports programming than really most of us, Peyton has revolutionized multiple aspects of our program by providing a fresh perspective. Be open to new ideas and find someone that can give you a different way of thinking about something. From Keith Williams, this is bigger than you. There are few individuals in any organization or any place across the world that just themselves can impact an organization positively or negatively to the point where there is lifelong impact. You are not bigger or more important than this program. None of us are. Whether you, me, or any of us are here tomorrow, students will be playing sports tomorrow night in some capacity. They're going to play basketball downstairs. They're going to play outside on the gold fields, regardless. So none of us are bigger than this sports program. It's important to remember. I get to ask him this question now because he always asks me. So, Mitch, what's the greatest barrier to success? It's success. Yeah, I get asked that all the time, so I get to ask him this time. You should celebrate success. And this one's from Mitch Nettesign. To truly be successful, it takes an immense amount of effort, skill, and time. You have to celebrate success. Every year, Mitch has us over to his house for a team meeting where he cooks for us. We talk about the year, reflect, and share drinks. We spend about the first hour reminiscing on the year, celebrating the hills, sometimes mountains, that we had to climb that year. About an hour in, Mitch always says, so let's start brainstorming how we're going to take this to the next level. You can celebrate success, but don't get intoxicated with it because it can be detrimental. From my Aunt Amber, stand for something. If you don't have opinions, thoughts, or input, you stand for nothing. You're put in positions to make decisions and provide feedback because your thoughts and opinions are valuable. So stand for something. From Brent Berger, Kristen's dad, everything is fixable. You may break something physical, emotional, or intellectual. Oftentimes, it's difficult or impossible to repair something to its exact, pristine, original condition. But it will at least be fixable, to be operational, and succeed in its purpose again. So remember, don't give up. Everything is fixable. From my wife, Kristen, and I'm certainly, she probably learned this from her mom, Kate, people matter. If you ask a lot of people in here, I am as task-oriented as you can probably imagine. I usually am asking, what do we have left to do? But who fulfills the tasks? Who completes the tasks? It's always the people. And people should always be your priority. If we don't have people that love, care, and appreciate what they have, we have nothing. From my mom, you don't get to quit. A single parent with 3 children, working 2 jobs to put food on the table and provide a safe place for their family doesn't get to quit. Just because something's hard, so why do you? What makes you entitled to quit on your team that you made a commitment to? If something's destructive in your life or causing more issue than benefit, sure. Maybe it's time to reevaluate. But you don't just get to quit because it's hard. There are people that want to quit but don't have the option. So you don't get to quit. For my sister Lauren, it takes courage to be yourself. In a world where you're endlessly judged, compared, and put down, have the courage to be yourself. No 2 people are identical, unless you're an identical twin, of course. Have the courage to be yourself. So why would you try to be somebody else if you're already yourself? And my last POE, I'll leave you with this one. It's from my brother John. The POE is stop complaining. My brother John is 3 years older than me. He just turned 31 this year. When John was born, he contracted bacterial meningitis. He walked for a little while. He doesn't anymore. At least he likes to think he still does. But John really can't see that much farther away from his body without assistance either. But I will tell you, for the 28 years that I've been alive, and I don't know, maybe he complained a little bit before I was born, but I've never heard John complain about his situation. Not once. He can't see further than a couple feet. He can't walk. But I've never heard him complain. So the next time you're thinking about your circumstances, think about John. And I'll close it out with a quote. It's a little bit of a long quote, but stick with me. John hates the Lakers a lot. John hates them. Hates the Lakers. But I think John is encapsulated really well by one of my favorite quotes from Kobe that he posted on social media right after he tore his Achilles. At 35, after being in the NBA for 17 seasons. This is what he said the night after he tore his Achilles at age 35. This is such BS. All the training and sacrifice just flew out the window with one step that I've done a million times. The frustration is unbearable. The anger is rage. Why the hell did this happen? It makes no damn sense. How am I supposed to come back from this and be the same player or better at 35? How in the world am I supposed to do that? I have no clue. Do I have the consistent will to overcome this thing? Maybe I should break out the rocking chair and reminisce on the career that was. Maybe this is how my book ends. Maybe Father Time has defeated me. Then again, maybe not. It's 3:30 a.m. My foot feels like dead weight. My head is spinning from the pain meds and I'm wide awake. Forgive my venting, but what's the purpose of social media if I won't bring it to you real, no image? Feels good to vent, to let it out, to feel as if this is the worst thing ever. After all the venting, the real perspective sets in. There are far greater issues and challenges in the world than a torn Achilles. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Find the silver lining and get to work with the same belief, same drive, and same conviction as ever. One day, the beginning of a new career journey will commence. Today is not that day. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. We don't quit. We don't cower, and we don't run. We endure and we conquer.